All right, so we left off the last video here. We still got to do wiring. We're going to wire it. Get some of the stuff that's the front sensors. We're going to wire them underneath the valley here just to clean it up, make it look nicer under here. Power steering, we got to figure out, hook that up here. Got to figure out cooling system. Transmission has to be, transmission mounts got to get put on. That's probably what's going to happen next. And then we got to figure out linkage from the transmission to the stock linkage, because I want to use the stock shifter that's in here. And then fuel, and that should pretty much get this thing going. Before we get too far into it, I want to, like I mentioned, get that transmission mount done. And oh yeah, we got to do exhaust too. And get this wiring all buttoned up, hooked up. And I want to get this running. I know we're not going to have coolant in it, but I want to get it running, hear it in the truck running. So going to try to focus on getting that done hopefully in the next couple days, but we'll see. So for right now, I'm going to grab that header and I'm going to test fit it on this passenger side. I mean, it looks like we're going to have quite a bit of clearance over there, so that's kind of nice, but let's get that on and see what it looks like. So there's a view of the header. We're kind of tight down on the frame rail. We might have to do some notching out there on the rail. Or maybe we'll just beat the header in, I don't know. But I'm not going to mount this up quite yet. I want to get all the wiring done down there for the starter. Get it tucked back underneath where the transmission tube is sticking up. And make it look nice and pretty, because once the header's on, it's going to be that much more fun. So let's go ahead and do the wiring and see where we get to. Well, hey, it's the next day. I didn't get to the wiring. I got kind of exhausted and went to bed. So we got wiring yet to do on this thing, and also got quite the mess I got to go through and clean up. Murder She Wrote going on down here. CSI, crime victims. I don't know. I'm saying there's a lot of transmission fluid, especially underneath the truck. That's got to get cleaned up. We're going to be working on getting that transmission cross member put in. And yeah, so let's go ahead and clean up and then start working again. I got some stuff cleaned up and I started working on underneath here, trying to get this transmission mount all put back together. And I'm missing the nut for the transmission to hook it to that, and I'm dealing with trying to get those out with the floor in the way. But I can't find another nut to go on there, and I'm just kind of getting frustrated with being down on the creeper. So I'm going to move to the top side because it is Sunday afternoon. Parts store closes here in 15 minutes. It takes me about 15 minutes to get there, and I'm just being lazy and I don't really want to go anywhere. I want to just keep plugging away at what I can. So I'm going to start working on top side. All right, so top side, we got some stuff going on here. Let's see, where do we get? Intake is on. That little vacuum is on. Steam port's back on. What else did I do? Obviously started looming with this and laid out stuff as needed. Also figured out that my stock cable that I got will actually work out perfectly. I'll just have to build bracket and flip it around, but yeah, that'll work nice. So for the loom, I started over by my computer because it was right here. I bought a bunch of different assortments of loom. Maybe spent 30 bucks on Amazon for it, for all different assortments. I don't remember what I paid for it. Also got this tape. So started here with the big stuff. loomed it, just kind of laid it out to about where it branched off, and I snipped it there, loomed it all in there, put a zip tie in there for right now. And my plan is I'm going to come out to where these branches are. I'm going to step down to a littler loom and go to where there's another branch, and then step down to another littler loom. Because like this, for instance, obviously we've got a ground that we're going to have to find a ground for, which I think it's going to be back on the back side there. This is our starter wire, starter ignition engagement wire. And then we also have the cam sensor on here too. This one I'm going to loom up, and I'm actually going to do a lot more heat tape on it just to keep it from melting. This one is for my air conditioner. If I ever decide to run air conditioner off the stock ECM, you can do that. I left it in there. I'm probably just going to loom it up and then wrap it up, tape it up, put it off somewhere over by maybe there. I don't know. So yeah, that's all I'm going to do is I'm going to work with the biggest stuff, with the biggest looms and then branches. I'm going to stop. I'm going to put on some littler stuff and just shrink it down until I get to the end of each one. Those, of course, all the fuel injectors, and then the coil pack, and then there's a coolant sensor in the back over there. Yeah, I think that should work out pretty well. So just an example of kind of going through and, you know, don't do everything tight till you're ready. So I loomed it off of here. Obviously you can see there's a branch. I'm like, oh, okay. There was this ground right here. Luckily it was poking out, so make sure you find all the grounds. This one's got to go to a cylinder head somewhere. And then I started on this branch, and there's another ground. Okay. And I started coming down here, and I'm like, well, there's a zip tie, so it's got to branch off there. And then started looking at what it branches off to. This is for rear O2 sensors, and this is for my mass airflow sensor. Well, ideally the mass airflow sensor is going to be somewhere in this general area. The O2 sensors are going to be way back yonder. So I'm going to go ahead and clip this off, pull it back, run it over to that loom over there because that's for the transmission. Drop it down to over there, and yeah. So just double check everything when you're doing it. Might actually pull both of them back and then flip the mass airflow sensor one around, run that one underneath the intake. I don't know yet. Still learning. All right, well, here we are. A couple hours later. Got the mass airflow sensors underneath the throttle body. It's about the only one that's going to go under there because it's the only one I really need up front so far. I do have to lengthen the throttle position sensor, idle air control, some other sensors up there, because that's about as far as they go, and they don't reach to where they need to up here. So I'm gonna be getting on that here. I'm gonna go grab some dinner. And over here, we got fuel injectors plugged in, spot for the coil pack. I think that's just that overflow bottle again. I'm just laid it right there. Transmission O2 sensor, all those ones are down there ready to go. Starter wire, that's all down there. I gotta hook some grounds up. Yeah. This is doable, not fun, but needs to be done. And plus, I don't have parts to do the other stuff I want to do, so gotta do it. Well, for the first time in a long time, this truck it has a motor and transmission in it, supported by its own structure. Not on jack stands, nothing. So we got the cross member loosely on there on the transmission. And that was kind of a pain. I'm going to have to drill some holes and get the other bolts to line up to where I need them to be. But as you can see, it's a very big mess going on right here. So what we're going to do, because I'm sick of being on my back again, is I'm going to jack the truck back up, put these wheel dollies back on it, clean up some stuff. I'm gonna slide it over. Slide her over. Slide her over. Clean up all the junk underneath there. And get me some more working room over here. Because this thing's been in the garage for the last 18 months. I've gotten pretty good at just tucking it as close to that wall as I can, so I got so much room over here for activities for the Impala. So it's a little tight back here. Garage door closes, but it's a little tight. So I'm gonna clean this junk up, get it more manageable, and you know, probably drink a beer or 5, just to get me going, you know, stuff. So I'll be back with you here in a bit. Okay, Angus has moved. Here's the mess. Quite a bit of training fluid that came out. So I'm gonna sweep up what I can, brush the dry stuff into the wet stuff. Probably grab my flat blade edge, I don't know, the shovel, and shovel it. And then I'm gonna grab some degreaser. I'm gonna degrease it and squeegee out the floor because it's, I don't like stuff like that. Anyways, that's the progress we made. Just sometimes you gotta pause in the action to get ahead and clean up, because if I didn't clean up now, I'd be PO'd at myself here in a couple weeks when it's done and running and trying to find parts, and I'm missing the one thing that's, you know, could be just up here. Well, when you get a hummingbird that decides it wants to come in your garage and play with your lights, get out here! Get out here! Come on! Get out here, Marco. Great. Great. Well, Operation Get Hummingbird Out of the Frickin' Attic is out. Surprisingly, all I had to do was climb up there, and I had some gloves on, and I just grabbed it really quick, and it let out a, I'm caught, but you're probably going to rescue me squeal. And then I came out to the black truck here, let it go. The freaking thing peed on my truck. Go figure. And Cookie. Striking out here. So pulled the gaskets off. They're crustier than a 80-year-old's bank account. So the metal parts are aluminum. It's okay, but those aren't going to work. Also missing some hardware, and I'm missing a alternator. Not really worth my time to sit here and go try to do that. So back onto wiring we go. Well, here's my stopping point for the night. Passenger side coil pack's done. I only got 2 bolts in it, but it's all mounted up. All the injectors are hooked up. The wires are all plumbed in, tucked away. Starter wires hooked up. The crank position sensor is hooked up. Got my positive cable down there hooked up to the starter. Yeah, I know it's going to have to come off again for the new starter, but got it ran underneath here, and then it comes up through right here. Extra. Got a ground from the head down to this spot. Got the grounds on the back side there of the head that go into the loom. Also made an additional ground, as you can see, to go from here up to the firewall to the stock location. Where else did I get to? I got the idler air control cables, wires extended, and they're ran underneath. And then they tie in. I got the purge cylinder hooked up. Yeah, I didn't run that underneath. It's long enough, I probably could, but I don't know, I just figured it's whatever. So it's there. I am going to actually hook the purge up to the truck's got the vent tube for that. So I'm going to use the original vent line for that purge solenoid just so the computer can purge as needed and we can burn off any excess, get a little bit better fuel mileage. Get to the driver's side here and have to still extend out the throttle position sensor next. I gotta put in the coil pack on the top here, plug it in, loom it all up, and I found a big connector. I got actually this one here that I just saw on the harness. I'm probably gonna utilize, maybe, I don't know, but we'll get that all taken care of. My oil pressure sensor, I got that just kind of hanging off right here, and then I still got the knock sensor right here. That, of course, I deleted the knock sensor after I got the computer all figured out, so it's still just in there. What else did I figure out? Yeah, that's kind of it. I'm burned out on wiring. It's a pain in the butt, but I think it'll look clean and not too gaudy, and you know, that'll get it cleaned up next, and yeah, won't even be able to tell. So I think that's going to wrap this video up and get this in, get it edited up and posted yet tonight. It's late. Now I want to try to share content as quick as I can. Next coming up, of course, I'll be finishing up the driver's side wiring and underneath hooking the transmission up, hooking up the O2 sensors, cleaning up the engine bay some more. Then we're going to mount on the headers, waiting on water pump gaskets. Did order an alternator because apparently I didn't have one. So we got to do that. Oh, and we're going to have to figure out a wire for the alternator. We're going to have to go to the back side of it, and that's the other cable I got to extend. So I'll go to the back side with a bigger power wire, and to be determined, probably run it over to the fuse block. I don't know yet, but anyway, that's it for this part. Hope you guys enjoy. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Coming up on 500 subscribers. It's pretty awesome. Beautiful night. Supposed to get thunderstorms tomorrow. Impala will be very soon. I have a cold case radiator that should be here tomorrow. I got one of my radiator hoses in today from Rock Auto, so look forward to that too. Maybe I'll take a break from Angus. I don't know. We'll see. Making good progress. I don't know. It's one of those things. So I'll see everyone next time.